Hey, this is your boy, Francinoco again. And of course, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. So, last time I trained my ire on uh, the Brookings Institute, and now I'm going to shift my focus to Bloomberg.com, the financial news agency. So they didn't put out a bit of news; they put out what amounts to commentary today to signal an event which in Mexico, which commemorates the 85th anniversary of the ignominious, if you're an American capitalist, ignominious expropriation of the oil industry in Mexico by the Mexican government. Interesting from this two things were born. First of all, Pemex, Petróleos Mexicanos, the national oil company of Mexico, which continues to operate today. And second of all, the an opposition party to the ruling PRI, the PAN, the National Action Party, um, the one whose guy is in jail right now in the United States, and the guy who's probably going to turn in his boss, the former president. But that's another story altogether. I digress. So, what happened was that the Brookings Institute um, said, made note of the event. AMLO had the president. AMLO was short for Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, AMLO. AMLO. Okay, we'll call him AMLO. The president, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, announced that there's going to be a rally to commemorate the this anniversary in the Zócalo, which is the town square in Mexico. Which, when you go to Mexico City, where you're sure to visit, um, so you will. So he said that, yeah, we're going to have this rally. 500,000 people showed up. 500,000 people showed up. Most notably that they were not paid to be there. They came of their own volition. It's a very big domestic pride, patriotic event. Say, screw you to the international business interests that were raping Mexico, and from their perspective, for sure. And this was a very and nationalism is very, very in vogue right now in Mexico because of the posture that AMLO is taking, um, in front of the mostly, not exclusively, but the mostly Republican calls for intervention to take out Mexican drug cartels delivering fentanyl, as if there weren't gangsters in the United States that were actually delivering it to the front doors of these people, but of the people who are unfortunately addicted to the fentanyl. I digress again. So Bloomberg said, basically the headline went something like this. So Mexico commemorates 85th anniversary of the oil expropriation, um, despite the fact that for the last decade production has declined. Production of what? First of all, oil or diesel/gasoline? I wonder. Well, how long has the current president been in power? 4 years, since 2018. Not, since the December 2018. Not 10 years. A couple things the Bloomberg also, in this very short, non-informative article, seems to doesn't bring up that when the current administration took over, they were uh, Mexico had to import 80% of its gasoline. Why? Why would they have to do that? They produce very much gasoline. They have oil drilling rigs out there in offshore, onshore, blah blah blah, but they don't have a lot of refining capacity because it was shut down by the prior administration, the PAN. And so did this as a favor to U.S. oil interests that were actually propping them up. In fact, by the direction of the United States, President Calderon was building an oil refinery, but said don't build it. So all he has left for the efforts of about $60 million was the wall that's surrounding the property. All right. The other thing that they fail to mention is now it's at 40% dependency of their gasoline. From 80 to 40. Pretty good, huh? Another thing they don't mention is that later this year, around July, the most modern refinery in the world is going to come online that they've been building. They only took them 3 years. So they've had Chinese, Nigerians, Saudi Arabians come over to tour the facility and show how did Mexico do it. Well, they came over and they learned, and so actually, in a lot of circles, the Mexican oil company is a very prestigious new member of OPEC Plus. So they're excited to have Mexico on board there, so later on this year, when other refineries become more modernized, Mexico will be 100% energy independent. Why? Why not? Why don't they get to be energy independent? Oh, just because it costs our domestic oil industry here in the United States profits from exporting dollars, exporting gasoline back into Mexico. In Mexico, they can perfectly do it on their own. Well, it's good for the dollar. It's good for the advertisers of Bloomberg, for sure. So that's probably why this screed appeared on Bloomberg. But don't believe the hype is just another one of many fronts which this generalized laissez-faire capitalist smear campaign on Mexico's social democracy. I guess, yeah, because they're losing ground, and Mexico's kind of breaking away its own way from an economic alignment point of view. So, again, just telling you what you need to hear, not what you necessarily want to hear. It's your boyfriend Tinoco saying, Viva Mexico, Viva la industria petrolera, say, long live Mexico, long live its petroleum industry, and hasta luego, adios.